All right, the compound interest formula. Now that is important. What would be the compound interest formula? It would be A equals to P times 1 plus R over N, raise it to the N times T. Now this one is real. The money that you put into the bank, you will earn this type of interest according to this formula. And the real formula, well, of course, is a little bit more complicated, right? And all the money that you borrow from the bank, you know, your student loan, your car loan, will follow this. Let's try to understand what those variables talking about. The A is the amount in T years. And the P is the principal. So that is the initial investment, right? Or the money that you borrow, depending on how you look at that. And the R, what is the R? What rate? What's our rate? Interest rate. And the T, of course, is the time in years. How about the N? The N is the compounding period. That means how often the bank will give you the interest. So that is depending on the terms agreement. Well, let's try to see that. If they say it's compound annually, that means they are going to give you the interest how often? Once a year, every year, but only one time. So what is the N? The N would be equals to 1. And if they say compound semi-annually, so that means they are going to give you the interest every 6 months, right? Every half a year. So how many times they are going to give you the interest? Twice, 2 times. So it would be N is equals to 2. And if they say compound quarterly, so N is equal to what? 4, because they will give you the interest 4 times a year. And if they say compound monthly, then N is equal to what? 12, because we have 12 months in a year. All right, what more? How about weekly? How many weeks do we have in a year? Anybody know? 52, right? I hope you know that, right? If you get a weekly pay, then you should receive 52 checks. You know, don't just let your boss give you, 50 checks, that's it, congratulations. Well, then, you know, you're being cheated, all right? You know, you have 52 weeks. How about daily? How many days do we have? 365. in a regular situation, right? Not in non-leap years. All right, so now it's important to know how to figure that out, what would be the end, right? It's depending on how they're telling you, is it compound annually, semi-annually, or quarterly. So now let's take a look at a situation. If you invest $3,000, you are rich. You have $3,000. All right, you put it into the bank, and the bank agreed to give you the interest rate of 2%. Interest rate 2%. And you think, well, maybe I can put that down for 4 years. Okay, you save for maybe, after your 4 years college, and then I want to get my, that's the down payment for my car. Well, so we can tell the 3,000 would be P, and the R would be 2%. And 4 years, what's that? Which variable is that? The T. Hey, we are missing one. What's that? What do we miss? Compound, how often they give you the interest. So we're missing that information. So let's say they compound semi-annually. They have to tell you that. So that means n is equal to what? N is equal to 2. So let's see what happened. I got A is equals to P times 1 plus R over N, raise it to the N T. So what would be the amount? 4 years later, how much do you have? Let's see. I got the 3,000. First, I replace all the variable by what we know. But remember, only the variable change. Everything else stay the same. You have 3,000 times open parenthesis. You still have an open parenthesis. 1 plus, you still have a 1 plus. R, what is R? R is 2%, but what's 2% means? 0.02. Now remember, the percent means over 100. So that means 2 over 100. And if you're not sure, double check with your dancing shoe. 2 divided by 100 and see what do they give you. It's 0.02. That's correct. Over n. What is n? 2. Raise it to the 2 times 4. And that would be equals to, anybody can figure that out in your head? I guess, I'm sure you could, but as for me, I'm going to use the dancing shoe. All right? So let's take out your dancing shoe. Let's see what would that be. Now, this would be highly rely on your calculator. So if you press the wrong key and if you don't know exactly how to use your dancing shoe, you will get the wrong answer. Then that would be very sad. So help yourself to practice. Make sure you know what to do. Don't feel like, oh, this is easy, I must get the right answer. Let's see what happened. 3,000. Why don't you do it first? Right? Let's check it out in your calculator, and then we compare and then see what kind of answer we have. Let's try it out. You have 30 seconds. Should be able to finish that, right? Let's punch in your dancing shoe. Don't look at me until you are done. Right? If you made a mistake, that is excellent because you learn from that. All right, what would be the answer? It should be done. Am I correct? Matthew, what do you get? You what? You have error. That's so sad. You know, you've got to focus on the dancing shoe. You know, stop looking at the girl. What do you get, Yang? Say it one more time. 3. I'm sorry. Say it. 24,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. I wish that's the case. Anyone got different answer? Marcella? You got 3,248. Anyone else? Ariella, what do you get? You got which one? 3,000. You got that one. All right. Anyone got a different answer? Now it's very easy to make mistake. Some people got error. Some people got 24,000 something. The answer is indeed 3,248. Now, if you made a mistake, excellent. Now, you're supposed to type in all these things in one step. Or sometimes, some of you are kind of do something in your head. Oh, I know, 2 times 4 is 8, so you put the 8 down. If you do it this way, you are not doing it properly. Because you should ask the calculator to handle everything, not doing anything on your own. And if you could do it, that means you know how to handle the calculator well. Let's take a look and try to see if we can find out where the mistake usually people make. I have 3,000 first, and then I times open parenthesis. You need open parenthesis. And then 1 plus, and then you have 0.02 divided by 2. That is good, right? Don't try to do it in your head. Oh, I'm cool. Let me figure that out. What is 0.02 divided by 2? Yes, you should be able to do that. But why bother? Let the calculator figure that out. And then close the parenthesis. You must close the parenthesis. Sometimes students missing that close parenthesis, that becomes a problem. And then we raise it to, now that's another common mistake, raise it to the exponent. And you must have a parenthesis around the exponent. If you don't, if you just raise it to the second and then times it by 4, and then you will get something completely different. And since we highly rely on the calculator to do that, make sure you know how to handle your dancing shoe well. So let's see, let's go back over here. What would be the answer? That would be 3,248 points. Point what? 57. Because this is the money. Even though they don't say anything, we are going to round it to the nearest cents. Don't round it to the nearest dollar, right? You can't say that, oh, forget about, the 57 cents, I'm rich, I don't care. Well, that's not the case, if everybody cut off the 57 cents, that make a lot of difference. So we round it to the nearest cents, even though the question didn't ask you. Let's try another situation. Same thing, everything the same. How about they give you something different? They are having a different term. They say compound daily. Well, what would be the difference then if that compound daily? What is the difference? N is equals to 365. So now I got the A is equal to 3000 times 1 plus 0.02 over 365, and then raise it to the 365 times 4. So let's check it out in your dancing shoe and see what you got. All right, what do we have? Matthew, are you done? Give you a second chance, and you can impress. 3, 2, 4, 9. All right. Again, what do you get? Anyone got a different answer? Yes? You got 12,000 something. So that's good. You made a mistake. Then you can learn from that. The first time you got it right, and the second time you got it wrong. Hey, let's check it out and then find out where is the problem. Now, this time, I do not know, I cannot tell, but sometimes it's because in the previous one, you know, instead of 2 times 4, you make it 8 already, you do it in your head. And now it will become a little bit different. Don't forget about the parentheses around. Now, if I change that, now there's another thing you probably should know. I am not going to retype everything over again because I'm lazy. I already have something like this. Why bother to type everything over again? I'm going to press the second enter. That will give you the previous entry. And all I need to do is change a little thing. What do I supposed to change? I change the 2. I make it becomes 300 something, right? So let me press 365, and then I close the parenthesis, and then I raise it to, and then I open a parenthesis again, and then 365 times 4. Yes, you see how easy I made mistake? And if you just accidentally thought, oh, you know, yes, that's the answer, and then I hit enter, and then you, oh, let me just write it down. That is my answer, is 3023. And what happened? That's so sorry. Very difficult to tell, oh, I know the answer is supposed to be 3,200 instead of this. You just trust the calculator. So be careful. This time, I want to change it. Oh, I see that is something wrong with the 36. It's supposed to be 365. So I'm not going to type everything over again. So learn how to use that entry, the previous entry memory, the ANS. Very powerful sometimes, right? And then you press 5, and then times 4, and then close the parentheses, and then you hit enter, and that is what we got. And round it to the nearest cents. What is that supposed to be? 3249 points what? 85. We don't need to round up. Now, sometimes we do need to round up, so make sure you take a look at that carefully. So that will give me 3,249.85. Which one gives you more money? Compound semi-annually or some compound daily? Compound daily, indeed, this gives you a better result. You have an extra dollar something, so you can buy your math professor a cup of coffee, right? How come? Isn't that I have the same $3,000? Isn't that the interest rate is the same? Isn't that the T is still 4 years? Why this time it will give me a little bit more money? Because that is the magic of compound interest. The more often they give you the interest, that means more frequent they give you the money. They give you the money first. So after 1 day, they already give you the interest. So the interest belongs to who? You. And then you put that little interest into the bank, and that interest will continue to pile up. Instead of they wait for 6 months and then they give you the interest, then actually it's kind of unfair to you because they wait for the whole 6 months to give you that, while they're supposed to give you the interest every day. But of course, that's all depending on the loan agreement. Right? Different loan will have a different agreement. Like you borrow money from the bank for student loan, and that would be compound monthly usually. Right? But if you borrow money from the credit card, that's crazy. They compound daily. So the interest pile up really, really fast. Right? So remember to not ever borrow money from the credit card. That is a very unwise choice. Right? Maybe we talk about that a little bit more in the future. Right? Definitely don't do that. How many of you borrow money from the credit card? Just 2. All right. We talk about that after class. All right. Yeah. All right. Everybody happy? Take a break.